If you think healthcare reform is dead, you might want to think again. House Democrats are now talking about some form of scaled-down reform, passing smaller parts in bits and pieces. But those could add up, and pretty soon those little pieces become something even closer than what is currently on the table, or could it? Gary B.?
Well, it's an interesting thought, Neil, and boy, wouldn't that be neat if maybe that was Obama's plan all along, that the whole totalitarian healthcare thing was just a red herring for, the piecemeal approach. But I don't think so. I think that, first of all, once it gets, kind of like a divide it, we fall in this case, I think once the plan falls into some kind of piecemeal thing, I think it gets picked off one by the lobbyists. And also, it allows Congress to, devolve into the separate factions. And we know these Democrats are now running scared. So I think they had their one chance, and I think it's time to move on.
Nancy?
The healthcare stocks are soaring, and they're complaining about any regulation. They have become the welfare queens, okay, out there getting subsidized by government dollars through Medicare, and now they don't want any regulation. They want to be fat and happy. Listen, if you apply like pre-existing conditions to all of them to say they cannot disallow that at the same time, then no one company has a competitive disadvantage.
Well, I think the gist is here. I don't know where you're going. Adam, what I'm just seeing in this is they're going to try for smaller bite-sized pieces, right? And will they get it? And will it add up? People say, oh, good thing they're giving us smaller bite-sized pieces, but you still might get, a lot.
Well, I think they will, and I'll offer a more hopeful political outlook than the one that Gary mapped out, which is not that the Democrats are going to try to ram home each of their provisions individually and that they'll be shot down on all of them, but that they will try to resuscitate the ones where they think they can get cooperation on the other side of the aisle. So, for example, they may come to a situation where instead of adding coverage for 30-40 million people as was hoped, maybe they only add 15 million people. So, Neil, I think if they do it piecemeal, they'll get less, but they'll get something, and it'll be bipartisan.
Jonathan, what do you think of that?
And that's exactly what's been happening since the 1960s, Neil. I mean, we've had this slow socialist creep. We like to pretend now that we have actually a free market in healthcare. Government even now pays for 50% of all healthcare spending. So, of course, it's going to be this slow, tiny creep. And, you always point out that, Medicare started as a $50 million program, and it's now a multi-trillion-dollar unfunded liability.
So you're saying it's not dead, it's not over, right? Bottom line.
Neil, as long as Obama persists with this notion that health care is a right, the cost will go up, the quality will go down.
Hey, but the Supreme Court just made it all a moot point because the healthcare companies, pharmaceuticals, they can spend billions and buy any senator they want.
The good news is you did not mention George Bush this entire discussion. Hope springs eternal. All right, guys, have a great weekend. See ya.
You wanted more business news. You wanted